Hakuna Frittata. What a wonderful dish. Hakuna Frittata. Use any food you wish. It means don't worry, I'll help you on your way to a problem-free FARACsophy. Hakuna Frittata. Why hello fellow keto Farac and rollers. Today we are going to learn the basics on how to make a delicious frittata. It's a simple dish that you can whip up on a Sunday and have ready for the week. You might even call it a worry-free tata. Get it? Anyway, it's a dish where you can use any ingredient that you want to create your tasty breakfast for the week. And all you really need is a good cast iron pan. Today, I'm going to make a Farac favorite frittata with some of my favorite frittata ingredients, and this will help give you a few different tips and tricks that you can hopefully use in your other dishes. For our frittata, we have some Vidalia onions to add a rich sweetness to the dish. We're going to use asparagus and baby portobello mushrooms, which will be the base flavor that we'll be building everything else off of. I'm going to use some thick-cut bacon for a little salty bite and some tasty fat, as well as some Roma tomatoes for a bit of acid to help balance the dish out. And finally, we're going to use some cotija cheese for a beautiful, sharp tang. We have some mighty fine ingredients here to fight away those pesky hunger pangs for the week, so let's get this show on the road. The first thing we're going to work with today is the bacon, as it takes the longest to cook. I have 10 slices of thick-cut bacon here, 4 of which we're going to be cooking in the oven to use for the plating. To cook the bacon in the oven, preheat the oven to 375 degrees, lay out your bacon on a foil-lined tray, and pop it in the oven for 12 to 15 minutes to start. After that 12 to 15 minutes, take it out, flip those bad boys on over, and put the tray back in the oven for about 4 to 6 minutes. But make sure to check it every minute or so, just to make sure it doesn't overcook. For the rest of the bacon, we're going to stack it up and cut it in half lengthwise. Then cut the bacon into tiny little cubes, or bake cubes. Once those are ready, preheat your cast iron to medium heat and dump those greasy pieces into the pan, mixing it around every few minutes to make sure everything is cooking evenly. This will take about 10 to 15 minutes at medium heat. You can cook the bacon at a higher temperature to get it done sooner, but cooking the bacon at medium heat, both in the pan and in the oven, will allow the fat from the bacon to render out into the pan, which allows the bacon to essentially fry in its own fat, helping it get even crispier and more delicious. Once the bacon is brown and crispy, remove the bacon into a plate or a bowl with some paper towel. I don't have a shot of it, but do the same thing with the oven bacon as well. Once the bacon is out, remove the fat. But don't throw it away. That's some tasty goodness right there. Just pour it in a bowl and keep it in the fridge. Remember, it doesn't matter who you are or where you're at, always save the bacon fat. Next up is those delectable baby bellas. All we're going to do right now is cut them into large slices. Mushroom stems take longer to fully cook than the mushroom caps, so if you'd like, you can go ahead and remove the stems. But I don't like. I find that cooking a slice as one whole unit allows for a nice texture differential when biting into it. The texture of what you're cooking is almost, if not as, important as the flavor of the dish, so make sure to play around with things from time to time. The last step here is to weigh out the mushrooms to make sure that we're keeping our keto macros in check. All right, it looks like 230 grams, heck yeah! Now, you could just set the mushrooms aside and pre-cook them in all that good bacon fat, but I'm gonna cook these in a separate pan first. Here's why. Raw mushrooms are very absorbent and will soak up any liquids that you're cooking with it. This is great if the mushrooms are the focal point of the meal. However, I'm wanting to impart some good mushroom flavor throughout the frittata. So I'm throwing a whole bunch of mushrooms into a large, dry, non-stick pan.
Don't crowd the mushrooms, otherwise they won't brown.
Don't tell me what to do. I'm not trying to brown them. I'm just putting them in a dry pan with some salt. Salt pulls out the moisture of whatever you're using it for. With these mushrooms, I'm using salt to draw out all that delicious mushroom juice, and I'm using a dry pan, so all I'm getting is a concentrated mushroom flavor. Slimy, yet satisfying. Now that we've pre-cooked our ingredients, let's start prepping our veggies. We're just going to dice up our onions. A simple way to dice the onion is by cutting the onion lengthwise from end to end. Slice off that little nipple at the top, and then remove the skin. Next, simply cut a few lines lengthwise again, and just cut down that bad boy, baby. Come on, this is the easy life, just simple. Ooh. Up next is the dawning of the eggs and asparagus. Eggs and asparagus. All we need to do is remove the bottom of the stalks. You can just cut them off and you'll be fine. But snapping them, as I'm doing here, will help ensure that you are not using any of that tough, stringy end of the asparagus. Next, what's this? A tomato? I don't know, what's tomato with you? We're just gonna cut it lengthwise and use a spoon to remove the guts and seeds. You can keep in all that goop if you'd like, that's fine. But know that there's a lot of water in it, which can make for a watery frittata if left in. But leaving it can also help spread that tomato flavor throughout the dish. Don't be afraid to experiment. Once it's all scooped out, we're gonna slice it into strips and then down into cubes. Boom, done. After prepping the veggies, remember to weigh them out. Weighing out the food helps you to know exactly how many calories and carbs you are consuming. This is great for a keto diet. So I'm gonna go ahead and weigh my ingredients and get writing. Finally, we have the cotija cheese. Simple enough, I'm just gonna use half this big old brick, weigh it out, it's about 125 grams, and just start crumbling it up. Simple. God dang, that's easy. The last thing we need to prep are the eggs. I'm using a 10-inch cast iron skillet, so I'm gonna be using 8 large eggs. Go ahead and crack your eggs on a flat surface and empty that golden treasure into a large mixing bowl. Cracking the eggs on a flat surface as opposed to the side of the bowl will push the shell inward a bit, making it less likely to have any shell drop in. Once the eggs are in a bowl, add in about 6 tablespoons of heavy cream, milk, or water into your eggs, whatever you want. I want the eggs to be a bit thicker and luscious, so I'm going to use heavy cream. Add a few pinches of salt to the eggs, as well as a few optional cracks of black pepper. Smush up those yolks if you need to, and get whisking. Whisk back and forth in the bowl to make sure everything is mixed well. And ooh, mama, I'm getting excited. Ooh, these are gonna be good. Let's get these goodies on some heat. Preheat your bacon grease-coated cast iron skillet to medium heat and add the onions. The reason why I'm adding the onions first is because I want them to caramelize a bit longer. So cook them for about 3 minutes or until they just begin to soften. Next, add your asparagus and cook that for about 4 minutes until they start to soften as well. After that, go ahead and add your tomatoes and mushrooms to the party and heat them up a bit. Do you see that liquid? That's the mushroom juice as well as a little bit of the tomato, and that's going to spread throughout the egg mixture. Flavors. Once everything's all in, it's time to add the eggs. I'd suggest adding in another 2 tablespoons of butter or bacon grease before adding the eggs. But I plumb forgot, so whatever. Pour in your egg mixture, scraping the sides of the bowl with a rubber spatula to make sure that all the eggy goodness is in the pan. Set your bowl aside and take your spatula and begin gently but constantly mixing everything around. This will allow the egg to cook evenly without it burning on the bottom. You could add the cotija cheese now to let it melt in the mixture, but doing so could make for an even messier pan. I'm going to go ahead and wait a little bit. However, this is a good time to add any extra herbs or seasonings to the dish. I'm actually going to use about a teaspoon or so of dried dill root. Dill is a bright, vibrant herb that I think will go well with the flavors that we added. But don't use too much, otherwise you might have a dilemma on your hands. Anyway, keep stirring around the mixture until the egg begins to thicken. Once a little more than half the egg has been cooked, I'm going to go ahead and add the cheese, mixing it around to incorporate. But wait, crap, I forgot the bacon. Oh well, we still have time. Go ahead and add it in. Keep stirring the mixture until the majority of the egg has solidified. And once it has, smooth out the surface, and it's time to pop in a preheated oven at 350 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes. I would suggest checking on it after 15 minutes, just in case it is ready to go. Mine isn't, so I'm going to put it back in for another 5 minutes or until the top just starts to turn a little brown. I'm going to add some crumbled feta cheese for a salty tang, as well as a few ribbons of fresh basil for a light, earthy flavor. The easiest way to cut your basil into ribbons is to lay out your largest leaf at the bottom and pile the other leaves on top. Then roll it on up just like you're back in college and give it a few cuts. Easy freaking peasy. Whether or not you decide to add anything to the top, I would still suggest finishing off the frittata by turning up the oven to 450 degrees and letting that frittata brown up to a crispy perfection. Oh, baby, do you see this? Ooh, mama, that's a Luìge. Abbondanza, proper cosy. I don't believe those are actual words, but words cannot describe just how good this frittata is. Hakuna Frittata, what a wonderful dish. A keto frittata, use any food you wish. It means don't worry just like that, we are done. How does it taste, Ben?
Really good.
Good. We used simple techniques and simple ingredients to make a delicious keto breakfast that will get us excited to get out of bed in the morning. And I know the keto diet may seem like a struggle, but mastering the basic techniques in the kitchen will help you master the keto diet and, hopefully, master other parts of your life. Subscribe to the channel for more keto videos to help you live the life that you deserve. And remember, don't worry, I got you.
Hakuna Frittata, Keto Frittata, Hakuna Frittata, Keto Frittata, Hakuna.
It means don't worry, I'll help you on your way to a problem-free FARACsophy. Hakuna Frittata, Hakuna Frittata, Keto Frittata, Hakuna Frittata, Hakuna Frittata, Hakuna Frittata, Hakuna Frittata, ta 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 ta.